Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hi, it's Jackie Kashian. Welcome to the Dork Forest. You know the websites, JackieKashian.com, dorkforest.com. I'm going on the road. That's right. So these will be sporadic. Well, they'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. Anyway, so I'm in, that's not going to air. Whatever. JackieKashian.com. Feel free to donate. Feel free to buy a CD or a t-shirt or, send me $2 for a magnet if you live in the United States, or $3 if you don't live in the United States, for obvious reasons. If you would like a Ranger of the Dork Forest patch, like you're some sort of Boy Scout, send me $5. And, if you're from out of the country, $6 for obvious reasons. I do stand-up comedy. Feel free to come and watch me do it. It's exciting times. I'm going on the road. We're going into the holiday season, and I'm going to be performing a lot all over the world. So check JackieKashian.com, the schedule page, Twitter, Facebook, all of that nonsense. But sitting in my house, very lovely house, I'm a huge fan of Lindy West's, and now you're here. Hi, Lindy West.
Hi.
Lindy West writes for Jezebel, and I could possibly go into the history of how I found Lindy West on the interwebs, but you should all, it's all linkable, and it's all hilarious and smart and funny and great. So welcome to the program. She has with her fella, her sweet pea, stand-up comic, friend of the people, writer with Hari Kondabolu, one of my favorite people. Aham, how do you say her last name?
Oluo.
Aham Oluo. Got it. All right. But your website is?
NowI'mFine.com.
NowI'mFine.com. And you do stand-up, right?
I do stand-up.
All right. You said doo-doo.
I did.
That was fun for me. Just for a moment, because I'm 11. And so I asked what your dorkdom was, Lindy, and you said one of my favorite things, which is, well, it's juvenile not science fiction, but fantasy books. Yes. But almost everybody likes that. It's a paraphrase on one of my favorite things here in the Dork Forest, which is, yeah, but everybody collects shot glasses. No, everyone doesn't. So you have a unique dorkdom, and it is, you like young adult, fantasy.
I do.
And you brought a couple of books with you. I read a lot of young adult stuff.
Yeah.
And, how about you, Aham? Do you read the young adult?
I do not at all.
At all?
No.
Let's digress real quickly before we dive into what promises to be a 20-minute conversation about young adult fantasy. What do you read?
A lot of what I read is way more exciting than that, which is college textbooks on jazz history.
Slow the fuck down. I like it. Maybe one day we could just talk about why jazz is fun.
It's not.
It isn't fun.
No, it's not. I don't know why anyone that doesn't like. That's what I went to college for, and that's what my training is in music. I'm a musician as well.
In addition to doing stand-up comedy, you play. What do you play? Do you play the trumpet?
I do play the trumpet, and the trumpet's my main instrument. Clarinet, bass clarinet.
I played bass clarinet in marching band.
I played bass clarinet in middle school.
Shut it! Come on, up high.
To the music store we go.
To the music, 3 bass, and not marching band, obviously, concert band. Marching band, I played trumpet. And poorly. That's right. I played all instruments poorly because I didn't do the thing that you're supposed to do, which is practice. And but I loved it. I loved band more than life itself. So you guys are band dorks as well?
Yeah. I gave it up halfway through high school because I wasn't good enough to bother. But he was really good. I don't know.
We had an amazing marching band, and I was going to quit in junior high, and my sister said, if you can stick it out till high school, the marching band director's amazing. And so it came to pass. But you studied jazz and played music in college?
I still play music. That's my main source of income.
Oh,
right
more so than stand-up comedy?
More so than stand-up comedy.
Hard to believe.
Yeah.
Hard to believe, first of all, that you're making money doing music, and then stand-up comedy being. Neither of those two things is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't make a lot of money at all. I mean,
right, but and that's fine. But I mean, I like that you chose the. You're gonna do some art, man.
Yeah.
You're bringing it. Where do you play out?
I play a lot. Recently, I've been playing in a band called Hey Marseilles, which is an indie rock band.
Okay.
We're kind of in the middle of a tour that I'm flying in and out of.
Okay. And so you tour the States, or do you do international?
We're touring the States right now.
Okay.
We're going everywhere.
And what's that band's website?
It's heymarseille.com.
Marseille is in the city of Marseille?
Yes.
All right. The French. They like a thing. They like a thing. All right. So you read old textbooks and current textbooks and what the new theory is on jazz?
Yeah, basically just it's the vast majority of the books that I've read throughout my life. The first like book that I read cover to cover was my mom's jazz history textbook when I was in college, and then I just got addicted to it, and I have these like literally 2,000 page books of they're just guides to like a huge bulk of all the jazz albums ever released, and
right, just sort of dissecting them.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Okay.
And I've read all of them cover to cover and
many times.
Yeah,
that is a dorkdom.
He's always trying to he'll be like, Lindy, what I'm going to need you to do right now is read this autobiography of this jazz musician. And then I get halfway through.
Some of them are really good.
I know, but there's no dragons anywhere, first of all. I try. I'm going to finish that Miles book.
The Miles Davis autobiography is amazing.
I'm going to finish it.
Everyone should read it.
Everyone should read it? What's it called?
Miles.
It's called Miles?
Yeah.
Catchy.
Yeah.
Here's, I saw one, wow, this is the worst. Classic moment here on the Dork Forest. Jackie can't remember what music, because live music for me, I was born 107, and so it's often very loud, and so I have a problem. So, but I did see in Provincetown, Massachusetts, in 1989, a famous trumpet player, and that man would have been. What do we got? Give me a couple of names.
It's gonna drive me crazy that you don't remember, because I'm gonna.
It is sad because he asked if anyone in the audience had any dental floss on him. He said, will not be able to play this trumpet unless, and I for some reason am out of dental floss. And an older lady.
That is some good crowd work.
It is at that, and the lady could not have been more psyched. It'd be like if you're like, oh my God, he's using my dental floss. And
did you get it back?
I believe he threw it out, which we can only say thank the baby Jesus, and because that's too much. Famous trumpet player. I'll look into it. I'll see if there's some sort of.
Do you want to just name trumpet players in rapid succession and see if any of them ring a bell?
Does Miles Davis play the trumpet?
Miles Davis does play the trumpet, yeah.
Was he alive in 1989?
Yeah, he was alive in 1989.
Could have been him. Why don't I just... The thing is...
Yeah, just say Miles Davis.
You guys are from Seattle, and it's funny when people come to visit, when I drive around, if I see somebody on the... People are always like, I want to see famous people, so whenever I drive by, like if I'll see, 10 years ago, I'd see a hipster, and I'd be like, look, it's Heath Ledger. And I'll just make shit up. So let's just say it was Miles Davis, and it was amazing.
And cut out the old lady with the dental floss and say you gave him the dental floss, by the way.
Exactly. Why won't I just bring that entire story up a notch?
Seriously.
Turns out partied with Miles Davis in 89. I don't know what you guys
Floss
were doing.
party. It was awesome.
All right. And now, let's talk dragon books, man. I'm in. Did you read the Dragonriders of Pern?
See, no, I don't know. I feel like
that's interesting.
Some of it was too much for me. I feel like I don't even. I have really complicated feelings.
Have you
about
tried?
This. Who wrote that?
It's Anne McCaffrey.
Anne McCaffrey. I think I tried.
You will be leaving this house with several.
Aham's gonna hate you. He's constantly trying to get me to read grown-up books, and I'm like, nah.
You know what you learn when you read a fantasy book? You learn about morals, man. You learn about heart. You learn about emotion. You learn about honor.
It's true. And you learn about feminism from some of them, which I did.
Wait, Lady Knights,
because Lady Knights.
I can't imagine that's the best way to learn about those subjects.
It's a pretty good way to learn about subjects. You're like, no, the best way to learn is to read a nonfiction book about the nature of nobility.
Yeah, I mean, there is a part of me that feels like I should explore that realm and get to know you better in that way.
You do?
But unfortunately, that part of me is
beautiful.
4%. It's just a very small amount.
I've read 50 pages of that Miles Davis book for you.
Right, and this book looks like it's about 50 pages.
Yeah, you can't even make it 10 pages into In the Hand of the Goddess by Tamora Pierce. There's sex in it. They have sex.
They have sex? Is it sex with a dragon?
No.
They both have swords. Is it gay sex?
Well, that's a girl.
Oh, is that a girl?
Yeah,
I know it. But they both have swords.
Oh, they do both have swords.
Right.
No, there are gay characters sometimes in her books.
Right.
But let's see. Not
Can I
in this
read the
one.
back of,
Please do.
In the Hand of the Goddess?
Please do.
Own it. This is the safest space in the world. No one who ever felt the sharp edge of Alan's sword would think to wonder about the young squire's true identity. Only Prince Jonathan knows the astounding truth that Alan is really a young woman named Alana, with amazing upper body strength, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Okay. As
And,
Jonathan's...
she trains twice as hard as the boys.
Well, that's how it is. That's how it is out in the real world, too. Ladies got to train twice as hard. You got to be twice as good. Alana has sworn to protect him from harm. She can handle physical attacks easily enough, but warding off evil magic, especially when its source is unknown, is something else entirely. It takes all of Alana's considerable skills as a warrior as well as a budding magician to unmask the mysterious sorcerer who is intent on destroying her prince. But when she does, no one is more terrified than Alana to find herself face to face with none other than the prince's own cousin, Duke Roger. That's unfortunate. That is he a dick?
Raj. He's such a dick.
What a tool bag.
Yeah.
Duke tool bag. The most powerful sorcerer in the land. Alana is a charming heroine. This series is marvelously satisfying. School Library Journal. An action-filled adventure novel. Recommended. Fantasy Review. It is all true?
Absolutely.
Excellent. So, and this woman's name is?
Tamora Pierce.
Tamora Pierce, who I've seen on the shelf, but I've never read any of her stuff.
Oh, it's great. I
it?
mean, okay. It's a little, no, this series is great. This Alana series.
Sure.
And then she proceeded to write, like, 5 more sort of iterations of the same thing, where it's like a girl in a boy's world. But I love them all, and I can't stop reading them.
A Girl in a Boy's World is one of the greatest stories of when you're a girl. Because boys get to do everything fun. In your head, boys get away with everything. Han Solo? Are you kidding me? Boy? I always wanted to be Tarzan's boy when I was a little girl. and my imaginary friend was a 12-year-old boy named Steve who had a dirt bike.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Sure, he was very adventurous. I don't know if you know about his work, but he was
So you just like stayed home while your imaginary friend went dirt biking?
Yes. Yes. No,
you asked to go. He's like, I don't know if there's room on the seat. Sorry.
I could boost you on the handlebars. we would wander the small factory town that I grew up in together, and he would walk. Is what I'm saying is that, but then we'd go over by the quarry, and he'd have his imaginary bike. I was wandering very loosey-goosey as a tiny child, 8 years old, wandering the 4 square miles of South Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So she's written pretty much the same book, but in different settings, like a dozen times.
Yeah, there's different versions. Like, there's one where the girl, like, finds out that she can, like, talk to animals.
Sure.
Which is awesome.
Right, who doesn't want to talk to animals?
There's, that one, I'm still, like, halfway through that series. I haven't finished it yet.
Okay. All right. Is this a new series? When did
this is old. This is from, like, maybe...
The 60s or something?
No. Like, maybe the late 70s.
Okay.
This one. But she's still writing.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, no, this is from 1984.
Okay. All right, early 80s.
This is the second in a series.
All right.
But yeah, I feel like I don't really count as part of this, like, YA fandom, because I don't, like, I just have really specific, the young adult fiction people. Like, it's a huge thing. Like, there's a million blogs, and there's people who, like, keep up with it and read all the stuff.
Right, and more, and then the stuff that bleeds over more, like Harry Potter and Hunger Games.
Sure.
And,
I mean, I've read both of those.
Yeah.
I could talk to you about Harry Potter for a year if you want.
I could talk back at you about Harry Potter for it's like fantastic.
I have seen one of the movies.
The movies are. I mean, the movies
it's
are irrelevant.
The movies are.
No, I've been informed this by several people.
If you look over on that bookshelf, I have 2 sets of the Harry Potter books, both the British sets, hardcover and softcover, so I could lend people the soft covers.
You do have one of my favorite books.
What is that?
There, the Stuart Lee book.
Hari Kondabolu told me that I was in it, and so I bought a couple of copies of it. It is, talk about the densest nonfiction book ever. That's what's the name of it again? Is how I almost killed myself, or how I'd killed, and
How I Escaped My Certain Fate.
How I Escaped My Certain Fate. Stuart Lee. Rangers of the Dork Forest know that I am a huge Stuart Lee fan.
Yeah, he's my absolute favorite on the planet.
It's I got him, Dana Gould, and Maria Bamford. Those are my 3 favorites. And
you're mentioned on one of his specials as well.
That's what, because we worked together. We did a 4-week run in Australia, and for some reason, he mentioned he's very specific when he tells a story about because in in that book, that stand-up book, he does 2 hours of his stand-up that he transcribes.
Yeah.
That no comic in the world would think, everyone would want to read this, except for Stuart Lee, who's like, yes.
I mean, but what he does on stage, I don't think he thinks that most people would want to listen to that. I mean, that's...
Right. He has no interest in, he's like, you may want to listen to this. You may want to read this. And if you do, I'm going to annotate every joke and tell you what made me think of it. Well, and my history and the future of it. And
one of my favorite things is in, I guess he has a new one coming out, but the special from 2009 was, the one
about the Muslims or the terrorists?
No, the most recent one, I think, that's on DVD. God, my brain's not working right now.
I'll put it in the notes. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
But in that one, it's in this beautiful theater, but the whole time you see people walking out. You see people walking out throughout the whole special, and the crowd actually dramatically decreases in size throughout the filming of his special, and
that's fantastic.
It's kind of fantastic.
I'll tell you, Zach Galifianakis has a couple of albums out, and all of his bonus tracks are of him eating it. His bonus tracks are him doing jokes that you've heard him kill on this album, but him doing it to frickin' crickets, to people yelling, to people, and it's one of the most. I mean, I never die, so I'm constantly being carried off stage by adoring fans, so it's hard for anyone to really focus. No, anyway, but it's such a gutsy thing to show that.
Yeah.
But Stuart is like. He celebrates the silence like nobody I've ever met. Tig Notaro comes close, but nobody even.
If I ever have that amount of courage, I mean, it'll be amazing. I won't have a career anymore, but if I'm able to go on stage and do that, I will do it, and no one will want to see it. But
if you kept doing it, someone might care eventually. It'd be beautiful, man. You gotta do it from your heart. Man.
I would come once or twice. You.
How is your attendance on the stand up and music fronts?
I'm very devoted.
Yeah.
You're on board?
I'm on board.
To the shows?
I do. Sometimes he's like, "Don't come to the show. Can I just hang out with my friends?" You're irritated,
right? Well, because you worry about your partner. You're just like, okay, so. Is he going to be bored? And it turns out he is. He's going to be. It's not that. And if I go up, he's like. And I'm like, well, let's go after my set.
Yeah.
Because I'm, not always, but sometimes I'm a dick. And I gotta go home. And he's like, no, we're out seeing a show now. Now I'm seeing a show. So I'm gonna watch the entire show. So have a seat. Get yourself a beverage, and let's do it right.
Yeah, I'm the opposite, where I'm like, I'm gonna come to your show. And then I'm like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm sleepy. You're done. Come on.
Let's do this. I've already watched 5 comics. It's been fantastic.
So I don't know. I'm a jerk. But
no, it's that's great. I mean, there's only so much comedy people, I think, can be expected to see, because you live with them.
But little known to most people, Lindy West does stand up every once in a while.
Is that on? I did not know that. Are you doing some? Because you're seriously. Before we go back into the world of dragons, let me answer the phone.
Sure.
It's important that the damn phone rings every episode of every freaking fracking show. God. Yeah, I don't know who that is. Name not found. Anyway, if somebody, the hilarious thing, I'll just edit this out. What's going to happen now is I'm going to turn off my cell phone, which is now due to ring.
Right.
And
it's very wise.
Grab some more coffee. Do you guys want sodas? We should have brought more beer.
No, I'm okay.
All right.
I'm good. I'm still halfway. I have half of a beer left. She would fight to the death to save her prince. This book is so good. This book is really good. I feel very emotionally connected to these characters.
Oh, really? Why? You can talk.
I don't know, just because, we can, I don't know.
What brings you to Lady Knights? What brings you to Lady Knights in your reading?
Well, when I was little, my dad read out loud to me every night, and it just started with Narnia and Lord of the Rings.
Okay, and The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings and all that.
And my dad was a voiceover guy, so he had this great voice and
made it interesting.
Yeah, and it was just so I grew up with that, and then I started reading really, really young, and then so I just started reading the books that he would read to me, and then I was like, I don't know, and then I just, that was sort of my brain got wired to want to have like, magic happening at all times.
And did you only read books about magic, or did you branch out and read like mercenary books or westerns or anything?
I read everything when I was a kid. I mean, everything I could get my hands on.
Right, like Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew. Or,
that was a little pedestrian. It was like a little boring to me.
Okay, yeah, there was no magic. There's absolutely no talking animals. How about the Red Wall?
Yeah, I read those. But, I read those, and those are ridiculous. But also, I liked them.
Who doesn't like a mouse with a sword, man? Come on.
Those are so weird.
They're super weird. But the first one's amazing.
Yeah, no, I read them until I got to an age where I was like, okay, I can't, I have like these weird prejudices even about, like, I guess it just comes from...
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, where I'm like, that's
the line?
Too dorky. I don't know. I'm 14. I think that my talking mouse with a sword time is done.
Then you will not enjoy the comic book series Mice Templar. It's about Templar knights who are mice.
Is that real?
That is real. And it is adorable and dark and great.
Well, but now the older that I get and the more...
You may go back.
Yeah, the more secure I get with myself.
Right.
I'm now able to talk about... I mean, 5 years ago, if I'd been in a relationship with Aham, I would have hidden my Tamora Pierce books.
Oh.
In a safe. Under the floorboards. And now I'm just like in bed like a doodly doo.
This is what's happening.
This is my shit.
The thing is that's way dorkier than the books are, like, she somehow managed to find copies for her MacBook Pro of like early 90s fantasy computer games.
Oh, the text ones?
Yeah.
No.
No, there's a lot of text. I don't...
No, not like...
Are they combo, LED text? Or?
No, like adventure games, King's Quest. So the early ones are, it's never just text based, where there's graphics, but the early ones you have to type in look at brown thing.
Right. Yeah. Because you find a brown thing.
Right.
Well, open brown thing.
Right.
Yeah. The Lord of the Rings one is a classic text. I always died of starvation over down by the Withy Windle. And I would end up just down by that river and no Tom Bombadil shows up to save me. Every time.
What the fuck,
full
Tom?
of rage. Full of rage that there's no Tom Bombadil. And, but I love that. And there's one that I have on my Mac Classic I have a Mac Classic in the garage. Guess what? That's probably available online. Someone has, made some sort of, it's called, Adventures of Doom or Tower of Doom or something of Doom. Mm-hmm. And it is, a tiny little black and white, cobblestone looks like a castle, and then there's a scrolling, and then you fight different monsters, and you go up these stairs. You got to find.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's very much early 90s.
Yeah. How about Scarab of Ra?
No.
Do you remember that?
No, Scarab of Ra.
Oh, it's so good.
It's
just like an old timey Mac game where you go through this. You're going through like an Egyptian pyramid, and you have to find. It's great. So basically every level is just a maze, and you go through the maze, and you encounter things such as these fucking dickhead monkeys that steal your stuff. The monkey stole your lantern. Great.
Now you have no lantern.
Yeah. There's lions. The lioness mauled you. There is mummies.
Okay. All right.
That zap you.
Okay.
What
and
else?
the game is challenging, right?
Yeah, it's super hard.
Yeah, and which is classic early 90s game where they're just like, the only people playing these games are nerds, and they're going to play them for 13 hours a day, so might as well make it a challenge.
Yeah, and I don't have the patience for that anymore at all.
Right.
I get through a couple of levels, and I'm like, oh my god.
Right, I wish that I played Skyrim. I wish that I played Portal 2. I wish that I played all these things, but what I really want to do is not spend 17 hours in front of the television relearning how to use the PS3 controller, and then play the last game. I swear to God, and it's I'm going to lose some dork cred here, but the last game I played was Prince of Persia: Sands of Time.
Oh, I got like a third of the way through that, and then I was like, oh.
It's amazing. It's beautiful. beautiful.
Yeah, it is. But then I'm like, okay, now I run up the wall and then I jump to the, and I fell again. Like I
start over.
I can't do it.
Right.
There's this little niche of games that I have this weird little box of things that I like where I can't,
because we can't like everything. You can't.
But some people, so there's these adventure games, very specific. They're not role-playing games. Like, there's none of the stuff where it's like, no, I upgraded my greaves or whatever. Where
okay,
you like,
so it doesn't feel RPG, but it's...
You just walk around, and you'll be like...
So they're RPGs, they're like Zelda.
Yeah, but there's not usually combat. It's more like you solve problems.
The puzzle sound?
Kind of. It's like you find, it's sort of like you unravel this story. And so you like walk around, you're like, I'm a prince, and I walk around, and then you're like, you see a thing on the ground.
Too.
I haven't played Final Fantasy 2.
It's for the Game Boy. But there's no versus at all? There's no, like, you finally meet the king and then to get the crown you have to actually fight that dude?
Almost. Some of them have a little bit, but usually not. It's usually more like...
figuring out the...
Yeah, it's like I found like a honeycomb, and then later I found like a dog being attacked by bees, and then I'm like, put honeycomb on dog, and then the bees are like, and then the dog is like, I am your friend now, and now I'm going to do you this favor, and then, I don't know.
What game is that in? Because that's awesome. I want to play that game.
Yeah.
You made it up.
So, yeah. But it's very, like, I don't like having anxiety that something's going to kill me.
Oh, yeah.
I get tons of anxiety. I guess if it's, I played one Final Fantasy thing where there was, like, fighting, where it's, like, turn-based, so you can just sit there and relax. But I still find that boring. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm very, like, story-focused, I guess. And
right. So did you play that, the Key?
I don't know.
The Disney Key game?
Oh, that, where it's, like, the Disney characters that fight each other? I tried. Yeah. But, again, I get scared. Even that was frightening because there's like monsters.
We have a lot in common, Lindy West. You're in the safest tree of the forest here. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, people who say that people's dorkdoms are very specific. They're like, oh, you must like my dorkdom because you like the dork forest. And I'm like, well, I would love to love your dorkdom, but I also I'm busy. Like, cause I do a lot of reading of comic books, and then I read science fiction and fantasy.
Yeah.
And then I also read a little bit of nonfiction. And then, do you know what that means? I watch almost no television.
Right.
So people are like, what do you mean you're not watching, the greatest Doctor Who series in the world? And I was like, I would love to watch the Doctor Who series. I'm busy, trying to catch up on what the X-Men and Wolverine are doing.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
I can't even imagine wading into comic books at this point, having not read any for my entire life. I mean, it's so big. I don't even know
where to start.
Yeah. I mean, I would have no idea. I kind of feel that way about music. Like, I'm deeply uncool. I don't know how to listen to music because there's so much music, and it's like embarrassing to me because I don't even know.
I'm doing a live podcast.
She literally will not let me see what's in her iTunes. Literally will not let me see what's in it.
Do you fear mocking?
Yes. And also because it's not like curated. It's just like the weird shit that ended up in there. No, so it's not like, I feel like you would look at it and you'd be like, I can't even. Now, what's something that's embarrassing in there? I don't know. I can't.
It doesn't. Everyone's got like all of a sudden it's like the theme song from Annie,
right?
And you're just like, no, I will never be cool in anybody's eyes. There's nothing to be done. But I have. Yeah, and it doesn't matter because like my iPod Touch is hooked up in my car, and so I have it on shuffle, and we get in the car, and Andy, he loves a weird like tortured lady singer from from any age, quite honestly, like a Kate Bush, like a Laurie Anderson, and it's very beautiful.
Sure.
I enjoy the Fountains of Wayne, because I would like there to be possibly some singing along, and and so, but I don't know. Like when I discover a new band, like I just did a music festival. I did Bumbershoot.
Oh, yeah.
And then before that, I did Outside Lands, which is in San Francisco. And Someday was playing. And not Someday. Someday's the name of the album. Granddaddy was playing.
Oh, yeah.
But Someday was the last album of theirs I bought, which was from, I believe, 1993?
Yeah.
Or 2003. One of those, but I still think of it as my new album when it comes down the road, because I don't know. Like, you must listen to a lot of music.
Yeah.
What do you, what would you recommend? Is there new jazz? See, I don't know.
I don't. You know, the thing is, I don't I don't really listen to much jazz anymore. It's all I listened to from the time I was probably 7 years old until mid-high school.
Can I say that he is a complete freak? And if we are out at a restaurant and there's like jazz playing in the background softly, he'll be like, September 1952. Like,
nice work. Nice work. That's a beautiful thing to happen.
It's crazy to me. And
it's
then
not really applicable to anything except for annoying people. But
well, I mean, but the thing is obviously you have that in your head and you're like, someone should know. Someone should know that I actually recognize this. This is amazing work is being done here.
No, even if he doesn't recognize it. So my dad was a jazz musician and
really?
Yeah.
Okay. So and yet you not so much with the jazz. What did he play? What
piano and sang. And Aham is like, yeah, your dad's playing is precisely like from 1953. Like he progressed up until 1953 and then he stopped changing his style. Like
not a bad thing at all.
No, it's just it's crazy to me.
Good year.
Like I don't understand these things.
He recognizes it?
These things that you know.
It's because it's a very specific, I mean, it's my brother Russ will tell you things about 1961 and lady crooners, and he was he was like, I bought 3 albums. He said the best pop singer of the 20th century is Nat King Cole. And I was like, I have his Christmas album. And he goes,
the thing is, Nat King Cole, that people think about him as a singer. He is an incredibly important piano player.
That's what Russ will go off on a tangent about how his singing is nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing compared to his piano playing.
Literally, he started singing because he showed up to a gig where he was backing a singer. The singer didn't show up. There's like a contract that there was supposed to be a singer.
Right.
And he was like, okay, I guess I'll do it. And then he just sounded like that.
And he sounded like, and people were on frickin' board. Yeah. It's, he said, you gotta get Nat King Cole, Brenda Lee, not Peggy Lee, but Brenda Lee, who's like 14 and is teeny bopper kind of gidgety kind of stuff. And then a woman named Ruth Brown, who sings about how she loves a guy who'll hit her. And you're like, that's when I stopped listening. I was like, I'm not saying he doesn't have a good beat and the kids can't dance to it. I just can't possibly listen to you talk about, what I like? A guy's strong. He's going to throw me around like he's... No.
I'm uncomfortable.
I am made uncomfortable by your lovely voice. Yep, brought it right down to nothing. Yeah. Starting over. Do you know Ruth Brown's work?
I don't. I've never been much of a singer person. I definitely have like my favorites.
Rattle a couple. Let's hear them.
Helen Merrill is
Merrill.
Helen Merrill is one of my.
As in the shoe, Merrill.
Yes.
All right.
Helen Merrill is an amazing vocalist, very undersung.
Who's that velvety dude? Who does those weird songs?
Oh, Scott Walker?
Yeah.
I love Scott Walker.
Scott, the mayor of the governor of Wisconsin. Amazing work being done.
The songs he's written about organized labor
are amazing.
They're full of anger.
Let's tear down the union.
Scott Walker he's not in the jazz realm at all, but he's an interesting figure in the fact that he was an American. Didn't really have much of a career in America, moved to the UK when I think he was 19, maybe a little bit before then, and then became a huge pop star in Europe, still pretty unknown in America. And
what year is this?
So this is like the mid, so it's like the kind of early mid 60s that he was part of the Walker Brothers, which was like a pop group that was really famous in Europe. And then he just got weird really quickly and just started making really weird music. He actually has a new album coming out like next month.
Is he like 100?
Yeah, he's an older guy.
He's pretty old. There's a
people never stop working.
But anymore. he basically like threw away all his fame to make really weird music that's really interesting and great. It's some of it's a little weird for me. There's a documentary about him where now he makes a type of music where they show him in the studio and they have a mic up to a side of beef that's hanging in the studio and there's a guy punching it and Scott Walker's just like, it doesn't sound right. We should get a different side of beef.
Wow, and there's a vegan somewhere crying. I don't think that's what the purpose of beef is, Scott Walker. And that's hilarious, though. It's sometimes, like it's with art, I have a hard time always getting it. I mean, I understand. Like, you have to. It's in stand-up comedy, people keep pushing an envelope. You know, they're like, I want to make this. I got to do something new. I got to do something new. David Lynch, Mulholland Drive, perfect example, where I felt like he was sitting next to me the entire time, hitting me, going, "How weird am I? Am I weird? How weird am I?" But it was, yeah. So I mean, sometimes with art and sometimes with music, I just want it to be. It doesn't have to be Bill Bailey, you know, Won't You Come Home, but it's got to be. It doesn't have to be the Kiwanis Club songbook, but though I like that, that's good times. I like Kiwanis Club. So what indie rock are you listening to? What about that fun period, people?
Nah.
Love that song.
That song. I mean, as a band, I'm not into that song. Is a very catchy song.
Yes.
I'm really into the new Grizzly Bear album. I think it's
all right.
Astounding. It's
right. You said
wonderful.
that in a very shy voice. You're like, I hate to say that I like a thing because there might be someone cool. No, it's cool.
Own your dork.
Own it.
I am completely confident in the things.
The Grizzly
that I
Bear.
love. Yeah.
All right. Who is the Grizzly Bear? Where are they from?
They're from Brooklyn.
All right.
And
are they a guitar rock band?
Kind of. It's a 4-person band. They all sing. They're all excellent musicians. Okay. And they all it's
what's the name of the album?
The new album is Shields.
Shields.
I like that.
Name.
Yeah. Reminds me of,
sword and sorcery stuff.
So.
Is there good stuff happening? Are they talking about magic at all?
I don't.
Is it like about a guy fighting a bear and the bear has like the spirit of a slain warrior inside of its heart?
I'm assuming that's.
I've decided that if I would have do you guys have tattoos? Are you tattooed?
I don't.
You do not, and neither do I. Do you have a tattoo?
I have tattoos. Yeah.
What is your favorite tattoo at this time?
Of
your own.
Of mine. I just have 2 on my arms. I'd say this one's my favorite. So I have 2 daughters, and when my older daughter was 4, she drew a picture of me playing the trumpet, and that is that picture.
That is that picture. That is adorable.
I don't know if everyone out there can see this.
Right, but, we'll take a picture. You take a picture of it. I'll put it as a bonus image.
And then really nerdy, I have a Radiohead quote on my other arm.
There you go. See, music dork. That's it. Perfect. What's the quote?
I'm not here. This isn't happening. From How to Disappear Completely.
All right.
Today, I actually copied the text from the font from the liner notes.
I was going to say, what is the font?
It's a font that was created for the album, and
sure.
Basically, I had that turned into like
That's
a completely
awesome.
alphabetic font that I had put on my arm.
A friend of mine, Karen Rontowski, has a tattoo of something about the angel Michael or something on her shoulder, and she decided that she just got added to it the outline of a Post-it note, so that it looked like it had been slapped on her back. And I was trying to think, because I don't want a tattoo. I'm good. But I thought if I were 19. If tattoos were as huge as they are now, the tattoo that I would have gotten would have been of Nightwolf from Mortal Kombat, Ultimate Mortal Kombat, who is the Native American character who has a tomahawk, and I would have put that on my ankle. And I would be an entirely different person. It is genuinely too late. Well into my 40s, so over, not happening.
You know, I always thought, speaking of my dorkdom, that if I were to get a tattoo, I wasn't planning to talk about this, but you reminded me. Yeah. I would get one of these illustrations from the John R. Neill Wizard of Oz series illustrations, which are very lovely and beautiful.
Illustrated by John R. Neill.
That's not the cover illustration.
Right.
It's like
the
inside.
The Road to Oz by L. Frank Baum.
Yeah.
Are these Wizard of Oz like fan fiction? Like
no. There's 13 sequels of the Wizard of Oz.
Written by the person who wrote The Wizard of Oz?
Yeah.
Was The Wizard of Oz written by L. Frank Baum?
It was.
See? This is why I have a podcast, so that I can learn things.
And I have read all of them. I have these little tiny slivers where I'm super obsessive.
Yeah.
So I've read all of them. They're very weird. Like, they're not like super well constructed and like deep as books. Right. It's like they're all kind of the same, where it's like a ragtag band of characters. Perfect. Like, and it's always just like a different combination of because there's like, 100 different characters that he's created, and then like in like various combos they wander about the land and try to like,
and they get into adventures.
Yeah, and they like go from village to village, and each little village has some theme, like, oh, everyone that lives here is a utensil, and like It's literally like, it's a talking fork, and then you have to get out of town before they, impale you on their tines. Anyway.
This is a womb.
Yeah, that is
very much a couple of uterines.
You should put that. That is
That's
very...
a tattoo right there. What John R. Neill, what image might you enjoy? Like one of the really cool...
Well, I do, of course, like Polychrome, the Rainbow's daughter. She's very beauuful.
She's all right. That'd be nice. And what would you do? Would you go shoulder? Would you go hip?
See, then it gets tricky. Okay, I'm probably never going to get a tattoo, but I have strong feelings.
Right. Please.
I don't like any kind of a leg tattoo. Maybe a thigh is okay, but I do not like a calf tattoo for some reason.
You're offending so many people.
I know. I'm really sorry.
Well, but no, that's all right. The thing is there's a very specific body type that can look good on somebody,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like arms. You have to have really nice arms to do tattoos, unless you're going to do an entire sleeve, and then you are the illustrated man, and then you die at the end.
Right.
So, but like an arm tattoo.
Yeah, it's like if no one...
Especially on a woman, you look super butch.
Yeah.
Unless you could carry it off, which a lot of women can do, but I don't think I would be one of those people.
I don't know. Yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm... Yeah, like... I don't mean this in the way that it's going to sound, but I feel like I'm not pretty enough to have tattoos because like it's like
and yet you are a good looking human being.
Thank you.
It's all
very
working
much.
out for you.
Well, thank you. That's
your regular
very nice.
features.
I didn't say it like for that purpose, but like really.
No, you were
like how like really pretty people will like models like wear the frumpiest shit,
right,
and they have the worst haircut, and they do
they can make everything. Like the person who's that good looking person in a magazine can wear a pillowcase, and you're like, oh my god, you're so amazing. But that's because their punum is a good looking, like they got the bone structures to carry it off.
No,
yeah.
So they can do like the septum piercing, and they're like
the giant earring
and
where
like,
you turn your earlobe into a hole.
Yeah, it just feels like bragging to me. Like, look at me. I'm like, yeah, we get it. We know. Yeah, Yeah, you're wearing that like oversized man's shirt and the mom jeans or whatever.
Right.
Like, congratulations, you're better than me.
Right.
I know. But yeah, so I kind of feel like I would have to be really careful with my tattoo placement so that I don't just look like I plonked something on my like dumb body.
Right. Well, that's certainly what I like is some people can own their dumb body. Like they're just like, no, this is what I look like. And you know what? I think I'm going to get a neck tattoo of a choo-choo train. You're like, are you? You own it, brother.
I mean, I work really hard on owning my dumb body, but like, I don't want to make it more difficult for myself by putting a choo-choo train.
Right, and then all of a sudden you're self-conscious and you're like, yeah. I met a guy once who wanted to go mad, and so he took a lot of PCP, and it worked out for him. And because he was, when I met him,
result oriented.
Right, he was. When I met him, he had gone mad, and what he had done is he had gotten a train around his neck, and then he had sawed off his own ear.
Oh,
yeah. This is Minneapolis in the 90s. Somebody was a moron, and so feel free. Guess what? If you want to be mad, if you want to go insane, turns out attainable goal. Get yourself a cocktail of some sort of drugs. But he had sawed off his own ear and to make the smokestack. And I want to meet the tattoo artist who did that, because that's not cool either.
The tattoo artist didn't have to do the sawing.
I don't know, because when I didn't know him, I met him. I met the guy that hung out with him. And I was like, why would you hang out with that guy? And he was like, I've known him since high school. He used to be really nice.
It's really hard to just have a business that does one thing, though. I mean, I assume there's going to be a lot of tattooing / ear sawing places opening up.
Right, and as a tattoo artist, you sort of have to be open to tattooing things in weird places and being available to do weird things, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like, I don't watch any of those shows, either of those
If I had to get an ear removed, I would have no idea who to call. So, I mean...
Yeah, well, that's interesting. It gets into really interesting ideas about personal liberty. It's true, like, those people who want to have their limbs amputated, and it's like, well, it's their limb. I mean, those people who have, like, a sexual thing or not. Oh, there's people who are like,
I bet you if I never Google that, I will win. There's a sex thing where people want to have the... I
think there's probably like a sex version and then a non-sex version, but there are people who...
furries.
Yeah, no, totally. But there are people who are like, it's kind of like, I mean, it's not like this, but like people, like being people who are transgender, where it's like, I was born... my body is wrong.
Is a woman, I need to be a man.
Right, and people are like, I was born with these legs, but I wasn't supposed to have them. And And doctors won't just take your legs off.
Turns out.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe if
I think we should be clear that those are not the same thing, and we are not
those
equating
are not the same
transgender with...
Yeah.
Oh, right. But there are people who think I shouldn't have legs, and thus it is like that.
I think that's how they conceive of it. I don't want to...
Have we turned into reavers? What the fuck is going on?
Oh, Aham doesn't know what that is because someone won't watch Firefly with me. Thanks.
Did you like Star Wars ever?
I do.
The original 3 Star Wars?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only 3.
Right, the only 3 Star Wars. Think if Han Solo had a dramedy. That is what Mal on Firefly is.
Okay.
It'd be like, because it's Han Solo has an hour-long series. There are only 14 of them. And there's a lot of good-looking people doing a lot of very funny things and very well written. You might enjoy the television show Firefly.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Adam Baldwin from one of my guilty pleasures, which was Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck. The first 3 seasons.
Yeah.
It got weird when they were like, no, you will like Chuck. You will like it. NBC would not stop renewing it.
There was the weirdest period of time in Chuck.
Yeah.
When they were about to get canceled.
Yeah.
And then they had Subway stepped in and was like, Subway was like, we are going to be the sole financial support of the show.
Right, we are going to save Chuck.
And then they had the weirdest product integration I've ever seen. I think it's in the third, somewhere in the middle
third
of
season, which is when I stopped watching it.
And there's a thing where
That's such a good call.
where they barge into the boss's office and he's like, how dare you walk in while I'm eating my Subway chicken teriyaki sub? Only $4.99 in Subway. What is going on?
Rivaled, by the way, by Bones when they are driving in her Prius. There is a genuine Toyota Prius ad in several episodes of Bones where it's just like, wait, you didn't look in the rearview mirror. Well, do you see that it has this camera that'll show me? And it's just her and Angel having this damned conversation that you're like, holy crap, I take it I got a DVR for no reason, so that now I cannot skip a Toyota commercial in the middle of this. It's been, you're going to drive in your new Toyota Prius.
One of the most, I mean, I don't remember the exact situation, but there's something along the lines of a scene in Chuck where a bomb is deactivated because teriyaki chicken sauce drips on it. The thing is, it kind of made the show better.
Well, because it was so
bizarre
anyway. And when they made Chuck into this giant hero,
yeah,
I was like, oh, now they're going to have to make the sidekick guy into the nerd who needs to be made into a hero. I loved the first 3 seasons when he was the giant nerd, and then the Super Fox lady was the Super Fox lady, and then all was.
Her and I were born on the exact same day.
Really?
Yeah.
Congratulations. It's pretty cool. Well done.
Yvonne Strahovski.
Yeah. Yeah. She's got the greatest, longest name of all. She's one of those distractingly good-looking people that occur in Los Angeles sometimes when you're out, and then all of a sudden someone is so good-looking, you're like, I don't even know how to talk to you.
Yeah.
Because it's just genuinely distracting.
Celebrities are weird. That's what's weird about celebrities. Even a regular celebrity, when you see them, you're like, oh.
We saw Busy Phillips yesterday.
Oh yeah, we met Busy Phillips yesterday. It was
Who's Busy Phillips?
Kim Kelly from Freaks and Geeks.
Okay, there you go.
But no,
I've never seen.
Oh my god!
I know it. Did I do that to you for
I know.
Firefly? I didn't.
I know you were very respectful.
But I'll tell you something. I should see Freaks and Geeks because I had Josh Weinstein on.
I wasn't saying that to judge you. I was saying that in excitement that at some point you may.
Someday I'll get to see it.
Because I didn't see it for a long time.
Right.
How
many episodes are there?
There's
22,
one season. Yeah.
Okay, just one season.
Yeah, one season.
All right, and it's a high school. It's a
dramedy.
It's a little dramedy. Half hour or an hour?
Hour.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorite.
Yeah, it's
in my top
it's a
one favorite shows.
Good.
What about Pushing Daisies? Huh?
I haven't seen
that. Pushing Daisies, super fun.
Huh.
Yeah, and weird and awesome.
Wait, I want to return just that I was about to say that one time I saw Matthew Perry on the street, who is not a person that I think of as being particularly handsome because he's always surrounded by movie stars and TV stars, whatever. That dude is so handsome.
Just like in real life.
Yeah, I was just like, whoa, look at that dude. And then I was like, oh, it's Matthew Perry. Also, I would like to spend one more second just making it official that I am bullying Aham into watching Firefly so that I can, because this is so irritating to me. It's been going on for like a year.
Don't start with the first one. Start with the second one.
Yeah,
the way they did it. The first one has that flashback to the war.
Yeah.
And the first one I think is the train robbery, right? The Great Train
Yeah,
Robbery.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Train robbery one's good because do you like an action movie at all? Did you see Looper?
Oh, we just saw it yesterday.
We just saw it yesterday.
I just saw it yesterday as well. This isn't going to come out for 3 weeks, and so people could, of course, skip the next 2 minutes. Because I often write reviews of movies. That was my introduction to Lindy West, by the way.
Oh,
Sex
really?
and the City 2
Oh,
review,
yeah.
which blew my freaking mind.
Oh, thanks.
Oh my god, I will link it because it was so funny and so smart and so true. And I read it after I had written mine, which was also very funny and very full of rage.
I will go read yours.
Was funnier and more full of rage. And
I had a lot of rage.
There was so much I couldn't. My favorite line from my own, which was, you know how that game in Sex and the City, which one would you be? And
Yeah.
which character in Sex and the City would you be? In Sex and the City 2, it decided that I would be the Arab guy that gets Samantha arrested. That would be the character I would be, because she was a foul piece of work that needed to be incarcerated.
Like, we're supposed to think that those people sitting at the restaurant when she's like massaging that guy's penis.
Yeah.
That those people are like a real stick in the mud. Oh man,
what a stick in the mud that you want to fillet that hookah. And I'm like, yeah, get out, get the fuck out.
Like, I'm gonna be like, oh, these conservative, these Arabs,
these horrible secular Arabs who can't possibly. And what I like was that Dubai said that she couldn't do it.
Oh, really?
Right. It was something like, Morocco. I wish Morocco would have agreed.
Oh, yeah.
Because Dubai said that they wouldn't film it, that they wouldn't allow her to film it. And then they're wandering around in those burqas, and then underneath it, they're all wearing couture.
Yeah.
And you're like, they might be dressed up underneath there, but they're not wearing feather boas, you weirdo. It's 118 degrees outside. I went to Riyadh, and I had to wear an abaya and a headscarf to go out to lunch. And we went to this Turkish restaurant, and there was the men's entrance, and then there was the family entrance, and we all went to the family entrance, and there was the weirdest taxidermy of weird Western animals that had all been stuffed and then shoved into a diorama. There was a fox, and a giraffe, and a deer, and they were all in this, and there was a little boy who was with his mom, who was also there.
He wasn't stuffed in the diorama.
He was not. He was a little boy just looking at it, and
Okay.
I looked at him, and I went, weird, right? Weird. And I'm just wearing a headscarf and an abaya, looking exactly like my grandmother when she got off the boat in 1919. And he just looked at me, and I don't know, I think he spoke English, because he wandered over to his mom, and he was like, look how crazy. I mean, he said it in Arabic, but he was like, look how crazy that diorama is. I felt like I had helped.
Yeah.
Because I don't care what country you're in.
Yeah,
that
no,
diorama's fucked up. That's not all right. I don't like taxidermy.
It's
I've
pretty
never
weird.
had a taxidermy dork on. I suppose I could. I could be open-minded. I could be open to hearing it.
I mean,
why do you like it?
I just can't imagine that someone into taxidermy is that entertaining to talk to.
You'd be surprised when people go off on their thing. You know, you're just like, because there's like, I didn't like baseball, and Greg Proops talked about baseball from the Civil War to 1938, and he only talked about personalities, and it was fascinating. Guess who? I won't watch if I am forced to watch a game of baseball on the television, I feel like I've lost a bet. It isn't fun for me.
Yeah, I tried to do an experiment this year where I tried to make myself like baseball. I was like, can I do it? And I tried to blog about it. And I made it through like 4 blog posts. I watched like 2 games, and I was like, oh.
You watched
and the
2
only,
games, though?
Yeah, that's kind of, I didn't
Who
really
was playing, the Seattle Mariners?
Well,
Were you
I started with the Dodgers
We were living
because
in LA
I was still
at the
living
time.
here.
Oh, okay.
So we went to a game at Dodger Stadium in which it rained. I was like, really, Los
Oh,
Angeles?
wow.
Thanks.
Weird.
Yeah. And Aham spilled beer all over himself, so then we left. And then I watched.
Were you sitting in the bleachers? Because live is better.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been really fun if it
I
had.
don't know. It's live better. Because the thing is, when you watch it at home, you can just turn it off whenever you want.
Yeah.
Right, there is parking and driving and
Yeah.
getting there.
And then now we're in Dodger Stadium.
And it's $40 worth of popcorn and sodas and beers and whatever. But when I was a kid, I liked watching it live. But you know what? We never watched the game. We would go every year for Little League, and we would just have water fights. And that was really, we never watched the game.
Yeah, it seems like if you go with like a bunch of your friends and it's just like a social thing.
Yeah.
I mean, this was like, I was like, I have to go for work. And then there was like no one else at the game. Like it was, the stadium was
It was the one rainy day
It was
of the year.
cold and we were just sitting there and then like
cold baseball.
no one did anything interesting and then we left early. But the part of this project that I actually liked was reading about old-timey baseball. Like I researched the history of the Dodgers, which was super interesting, and there was like really funny, weird old shit.
What was your favorite anecdote that you learned? Because you can't just introduce a gun into the plot and then give me
I
nothing.
know. Well, what was that thing? So the Dodgers, like in their early days before they
moved to LA.
They had all these. My favorite part was like the nicknames for the team.
Yeah,
because they were called like like the Doodahs, and they're like,
where were they before here?
There was some.
They were in Brooklyn.
Okay,
and it was
Dodgers.
like Uncle Ping Pong and the Uncle Daffy.
Oh yeah, it was Uncle Daffy. Uncle Daffy was
and the Wacky Brigade or something. I forget. Stuff like that. I like stuff like that.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Well, and just the name is from the Trolley Dodgers. Oh, yeah. It's like you had to just. Yeah, like,
they were actually named after trolley dodging?
Yeah, so you didn't get hit by you didn't get murdered by a.
It's an actual. I vaguely, for some steampunky reason, know that.
Yeah.
It feels like there ought to be a dirigible about.
Yeah, that's what they were. They were the Brooklyn Trolley Dodgers.
Okay,
and then they just
all right.
shortened it to Dodgers.
Because I remember when the Lakers moved here, which is another sporting event that I can't. I like to watch the last 2 minutes of a basketball game because I feel like, then I'm going to find out who wins. And there's good sporting.
I can watch basketball.
I like the documentaries where they talk about like. I just watched one yesterday. They talk about like good basketball games, and they because it's like I just want I just want like an exciting game. I don't want to watch a regular basketball.
Yeah, that documentary we watched yesterday was fantastic.
Reggie Miller versus the New York Knicks
was the name of the documentary.
Yeah.
Reggie Miller versus the New York Knicks.
Yeah, I would even if you're not a basketball person, it's super entertaining.
Also, Reggie Miller, most entertaining basketball player. I think.
When did he play?
He retired in 2005.
And who did he play for?
The Indiana Pacers.
All right. And it was an exciting...
Yeah, well, so it's all about, first of all, Reggie Miller's sister, Cheryl.
Yeah, one of the greatest
female basketball players of all time.
Okay.
Gold medal winning.
Yeah, and she basically just crushed Reggie Miller for his whole life. And everyone was like, haha, you're not even as good as your sister. And then he even followed him into the NBA where people would just chant Cheryl at him. Dude. I know. And she's in the documentary and she's super awesome. And then he gets, so the Pacers, it's the Pacers versus the Knicks in the finals in
it wasn't the finals, it was in the playoffs. The
playoffs.
Yeah.
What year? I don't know, in the 90s sometime.
Yeah.
Anyway, and there was just this huge. So then, I don't.
Spoiler alert.
All right. Well, so Reggie Miller. I was also working while this was on, so I wasn't totally paying attention. But he gets into.
I've actually seen it 3 times.
He gets into this rivalry.
Your dorkdom. You like the minutia of what is happening behind something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, he gets into this weird rivalry with Spike Lee.
Okay.
Who's there supporting the Knicks, and then Reggie Miller just goes crazy because he's so mad at Spike Lee for being such a dick.
Yeah.
That he just starts
he just wins the game.
He just wins.
Spike Lee will make fun of them because they're 100 points behind with a minute to go, and then Reggie Miller, I'm mad. I'm going to score 100 points right now.
And he just dominates and he just crushes it.
There's a point where
all he needed was Spike Lee to be a jackass.
There's a point where he literally on his own scores 6 points in 2.5 seconds.
Right.
2.5 seconds on the clock, 6 points.
Wow.
They're 6 points behind with 20 seconds left in the game. He ties it in 2.5 seconds. Yeah, just by himself.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. And then they interview Spike Lee in the documentary, and it's hilarious. And he's so grumpy about it. And then,
and of course, he compares everything to slavery.
Yeah, that's true. He's like, I went to Indiana.
Never been to a Klan rally, but
I could tell that whole stadium wanted to hang me, and it's okay, I'm not making any kind of a.
I don't want to belittle the history of your people.
All of the dudes on the Pacers are also black people.
Right.
I'm not saying that means that the Indiana fans aren't racist because they probably are. No offense, Indiana. Now I'm just offending everyone, but you know what I mean.
I've had good times in Indiana.
I
don't know why you hate Indiana so much.
I
love Indiana and the people of Indiana. If anyone,
shut up. No, but I guess
I've driven through northern Indiana. It's genuinely unattractive.
But
Bloomington, Indiana.
Bloomington is amazing. I played a music festival. I played a music
doing
festival.
The Comedy Attic.
Yeah, I've heard good things about that club.
It's a great club, and they also. My favorite thing about Bloomington, Indiana, is that they have a row of houses that they've turned into ethnic restaurants.
Yeah.
One of my favorite one is an Indian restaurant that is very lovely.
There's, I believe, an Afghan restaurant in Bloomington.
I have been to that Afghan restaurant. I enjoyed that a great deal.
Why do you know so much about Bloomington?
Okay, because I was on tour and we played a music festival in Bloomington.
Right, which one? What was it
The
called?
Lotus Festival.
Oh, very nice.
And it was the way that they treat artists is like
kings?
there was a limo at the airport that picked us up.
Right.
Like it was great. But there was no alcohol in the limo, so it was kind of just a long car. But
yeah, that's how limos are. I'm unmoved by limos now.
Yeah.
I'm just like really tiny, just a little thing of M&Ms that may have been touched by.
Yeah. Also, so much like forced scooching in a limo.
All right, you guys, it's been an hour. I just want to tell you that it's already passed, and we barely scratched the surface of dragons.
I know. I was going to talk about my emotional problems.
Right, feminism. We were going to discuss the political nature of fantasy versus science fiction.
Now no one will ever know.
But they will, because we'll have you on again, and it'll be super fun. Aham, thank you so much for also being on the show. This is a treat. This was a bonus.
Very nice to
You are a treat.
Aw, thank you very much. And thanks for listening, Americans, and those of the world. Citoyen du monde.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?